Have you all heard about reverse sexism? If you have, then what is your thought on this? By all means, there is no such thing called reverse sexism because apparently sexism can happen to anyone regardless of gender. It was called reverse sexism due to the discrimination against boys and men that the community often mistook the men's sexism as something laughable and unrecognized thing. This social expectation and gender discrimination towards men exists because they were expected to be in contrary with women, which to be stronger than women in every aspect. In one research that has been conducted by Sanauddin in 2012, it stated that due to the prevalent attitudes towards men, such as men are fearless, made the society took such violence like domestic abuse and sexual harassment on men less seriously. The inequality in gender or sexism can be obviously seen here when there is actually a human rights website that only talks about how women are the only possible victim of sexism. The fact that they even emphasize words such as mostly towards girls and women showed how they don't really take sexism on men seriously. Due to the inequality of gender, it shows that men tend to share their experiences in dealing with sexism as anonymous online because they don't really have any particular platform that validates the sexism of men itself. These are several experiences that have been shared by men on the sexism that they have experienced on Reddit, which portrays how sexism on men is happening and real. In the real world, the consequences of reverse sexism on men are not emphasized enough. Various platforms such as Twitter and TikTok can be used for them to speak up against reverse sexism. This shows just how vast the exposure of sexism towards women, but not many mention about how men get sexist remarks as well. Societal expectation resulted in men acting strong, even though they are feeling hurt. The exposure of normalizing men voicing up their thoughts are recently published, but only few of them reach the right audience and get the impact needed to the society. The comments mentioned above shows that due to the norms of the society, men opening up is unacceptable as they need to be mentally strong and capable to remain unhurt by the words of other people. This is an example of unfair treatment of a gender portrayed in a multimodal form. Such multimodal arts are widely used to advocate women's rights, and the usage of social media is to give some impact to society. A lot of interpretation can be made based on the arts revolving around the sexism issue, and a lot of debates can be mentioned about how sexism towards women in the society is about prejudice with power from men. Unfortunately, this can prove that reverse sexism is non-existent due to the implication that sexism starts from men themselves and cannot be implied to them. However, can this notion justify the actions done to men in a lot of unmentioned scenarios? In this context, men are oftentimes subjected to sexist remarks the same as women get, but also being disregarded if they are trying to explain as to why it is wrong. The expectation of them being masculine and strong makes them question whether the society is being comprehensive enough in going against any type of sexism. A lot of memes mentioning about men's sexualization are unfortunately being regarded as a joke instead of being mentioned or called out seriously by the society. As we can see, the multimodality of the picture mentioned above is about how it is only bad for women to face sexism, but is acceptable in the society for men to be a subject of it. There are a lot of other examples of social experiments done to prove that men can also face sexism in society. According to Benatar in 2003, the conviction of sex crimes on men are close to not being reported and also often taken lightly. From the law perspective, there is not much legislation that can be mentioned to see that doing sexualization acts on men can be considered as a crime and be convicted for it. In most cases, men are facing backlash for being weak and claimed as what society called men cannot face sexism just because they are the superior gender in society. In order to curb the sexism on men issue, there should be awareness or campaigns for society to see the importance of men's rights and equality in line with women's campaign and movement to make sure there will be no inequality happens. The men's rights campaigns such as the men's movement that emerged in the 1960s and 1970s in Western countries, shall be highlighted again to awaken the society on how men need to be protected from sexism issue as human rights. Eventually, both genders need the same equality as humans to make sure there will be no unsettled issue going on between two genders.